Akuma's Raging Demon, arguably the most iconic super in all of fighting game history. In this video, I'm going to give you all the tools and the knowledge that you need, as well as the setups to copy and paste so that you can get out there and start demoning the competition. In Street Fighter 6, Akuma gets access to its Raging Demon super when he hits below the critical art limit at, I believe, around 25%. Demon is inputted with the classic input jab, jab, forward, light kick, punch. But the demon itself, what are the properties of it? Well, for one, it's a command grab super, right? So even if the dummy here is set to block all, they will of course be grabbed by the demon once it gets in range. The other thing to know about it is that the demon is actually 6 frames startup. It has 1 frame of invincibility on startup, meaning it's not really invincible. Before the flash, there is startup and you can get hit out of the demon. If the opponent is pressing buttons, it will actually interrupt you. The animation won't even begin and you'll lose all 3 bars. But after the flash, it is a 0 frame startup after the flash. So as soon as the flash happens, either the opponent is getting grabbed or they avoided it. Think of the rules for Zangief's super. Post flash, if you're in range of the grab, it's going to connect. The other thing to consider though is the range. Demon in this game has very, very little range. For example, if I set up this scenario right here and do demon, I'm practically kissing Akuma in this moment, but look, it's too far away. Let's look at that again. This distance is too far. Demon, you really have to be point blank for it to connect in this game. So that's why you kind of need specific strategies and setups to make it more consistent. The other thing to consider with Demon is it does have invincibility to fireballs post flash. So if the opponent is throwing fireballs, you can actually at post flash go through the fireball and punish it. So that's a really cool way to land your demon. However, if it does intersect, see right there, demon actually activated. I lost all 3 of my bars, but it didn't reach the 6th frame where the animation starts. So at that point, after the animation, it gets fireball invincibility. If interrupted beforehand, you will just get stuffed and your demon will not actually activate. With these factors in mind, the 6 frame startup, the lack of range, and when the fireball invincibility occurs, we can come up with our setups to make landing demon more consistent. Here is the first demon setup to try out. Drive rush, crouching medium punch on block into plus frames into walk up demon. So let's go ahead and break this one down. So like I said before, demon is inputted with the classic input jab, jab, forward, light kick, punch. But the main building block to understand is that you do not have to input these all independently. The main building block for all these inputs are doing 2 components, the jab, jab portion, and then forward, light kick, and heavy punch at the same time. That will make your execution of this sequence much easier. If you're holding down forward or forward while pressing jab, just release forward and then depress it again with light kick and heavy punch to activate the demon. However, like I said before, if you do demon immediately after drive rush crouching medium punch and you buffered it during the block stun, it's too far away. The opponent can jump post flash. The trick here is during the block stun of the crouching medium punch, notice on my inputs, I'm entering 2 jabs. So I actually enter at the end of the block stun my 2 jabs. Then I hold forward for a few frames to walk into range and then press while holding forward light kick and heavy punch. So together, if you time it correctly, it looks like that. So you actually avoid that issue where you're too far out of range for the demon to connect. You walk into range and then they're unable to jump out post flash. Now, because you are walking forward, you're not really taking too much advantage of the plus frames to beat buttons. If Akuma here decides to do crouch and light punch on block, I'm just gonna get jabbed out of it, right? So the opponent has to be scared of your plus frames here for this to work, but it's actually one of the more easier ways to execute this demon. And on the off chance, like you're just drive rushing in neutral randomly, if they happen to get hit, you can still actually get this to work. It's kind of like a combo reset. So this actually, well, not there, but potentially if you do it late enough. So like here, for example, this should work. So you can get like a combo reset if you accidentally actually hit with the crouching medium punch. So this is a really easy setup to implement in your gameplay and to consistently grab people with demon. It does lose to mashing buttons, but of course you can condition them to not jump away by going for a low and get your demons landing. The next demon setup to implement is lights buffered into drive rush, buffered into demon. So this setup is super sneaky because it catches people super off guard. I really enjoy like just sneaking this in. You don't have to delay your demon whatsoever. So to input this, of course, you just have to input the entire demon after the drive rush cancel. So I prefer to input drive rush with the parry input and then quickly buffer jab, jab, forward, light kick, heavy punch in order to make this occur. And it's the most consistent and probably the best from stand light kick because that has the furthest range of all of Akuma's lights. so you can do it from further out. But this is a very fake setup. Light kick into drive rush is not real to anything, right? Even light kick into jab gets beaten. Jab will guarantee beat pretty much every option from your light kick drive rush, unless you go for something like, I don't know, drive rush into ODDP. So this does absolutely lose to people pressing buttons, but it will absolutely catch people asleep at the wheel and sneak in a demon to get the finishing blow. And that segues perfectly into our next demon setup, which is to simply do raw drive rush into demon. So this setup does require you to be in the proper range, and I like to do this kind of buffered from blocking a normal. You could do maybe like a spaced out stand medium, which is plus on block to condition people to block, and then just raw drive rush, buffer your demon. Same way you would buffer your demon from doing the light kick into drive rush, for example. You have to input the demon very fast in the drive rush. If you don't input it fast enough, of course you're gonna get like a jab to come out. Like you might accidentally do something like that, which is no good, of course. So the problem is you need to be really close in range for the demon to land. So at this range, I'm too far away. So you need to be very careful about it. So it only has about, you know, like a medium punch's worth of range where you can actually get in and be close enough where the demon is actually going to grab them on the first frame. Out here, it will absolutely not grab on the first frame. So you can see there on the frame meter, if the red and the yellow do not align, the red of the demon on the top bar and the yellow on the bottom bar, if they're not perfectly aligned, you didn't grab in time. So it's good to sneak in, buffer from buttons, but be careful about doing this from further out because you absolutely will whiff the demon and feel silly about it. But it is very strong to incorporate into your gameplay to sneak in one of these drive rush demons. This next setup might be the most powerful and my favorite of the bunch because it solves the two main issues when trying to land a raging demon. One, the lack of range. You need to be point blank in order for the demon to connect on the first frame. And two, the fact that it has startup and can be interrupted by pressing buttons. This setup accounts for both of those issues when trying to land your raging demon. What is it? It's, of course, drive rush into crouching jab into demon. So I set it up there by doing crouching medium punch on block, drive rush cancel into the jab. And you can see on the frame meter down at the bottom, the blue there with the 9 on the top bar, that is my jab recovery. And you see there is no break before the gray. That first gray block is the first frame of startup of the demon where it's invincible. So I got a reversal demon after they block the jab. And why is this so good? Because if you do drive rush into jab, you are +3 and point blank in their grill. And you're in range for the demon to connect if they're not jumping. And if they happen to be pressing buttons on block, this setup will beat them from mashing jab. So you can see there, it actually said counter hit, and during the startup of that, you can even see the animation of the jab begin. The setup is super powerful because people can't just mash out of this setup. And then of course, even if they're not pressing buttons, just for proof of concept here, they try to jump after the demon occurs. Too late. So this setup is super powerful, and that's kind of the rule that you want to follow in a lot of these situations. It doesn't have to be just crushing medium punch, drive rush cancel the jab. That is good because it's a true block string. It can also come from low forward, stand fierce, whatever. Force them to block a button that lets you get in with the block string into crouch jab, and then buffer the demon after. However, there is a trick to executing this. So you might be thinking this is great, but there is a specific timing you need to execute this. And when you start practicing it, you might feel how difficult this is to do. Because if you do jab jab from a drive rush, you're gonna get 2 chain jabs and you're not gonna get your demon to come out after. You need only 1 jab to occur and then complete the demon input after. So the trick to doing this is to do your first jab so early in the drive rush that it doesn't actually register, right? So if you do it really early and then don't do anything after, that first jab will buffer and come through, right? But if you do it early enough and then do a second one, only the second jab will activate in the buffer. So you see in this input sequence, I pressed 2 jabs, but only the second crouch jab came out. So there's a timing where you can press 2 jabs very quickly, slightly delayed after the drive rush cancel, but you don't get both jabs to come out. So if you get 1 jab to come out, that's the right timing. If you get 2 jabs to come out there, you did your jabs too late. So that's the first part. The other aspect is delaying the light kick and heavy punch with forward. So here you do jab jab early, wait a frame, begin holding forward, and then while you're holding forward, delay, and then light kick heavy punch. If you do this too early, You see what I did right there is I accidentally canceled my jab into Demon, which means the opponent is in block stun right now. They're going to be able to jump out post flash because you cannot be grabbed during block stun. They're going to be able to jump out of the block stun. So that's how you know if you did the final input too early. If you get one jab, but then Demon cancels right away, we can look at the frame meter one more time. You see there on the frame meter, it just kind of immediately cancels the recovery of the jab. There's no blue there from the jab. You canceled your jab to Demon. So once again, it should look like that, where there's the blue of the recovery of the jab, then the Demon activates after 9 frames of recovery. Then you have the gray of the first frame of the Demon right there. So you need to do jab, jab early, hold forward, delay, then light kick, heavy punch. There's a rhythm to it. It does take some practice. I mean, I still mess it up here and there. And then once you get it consistent, you can get this timing where you get reversal Demon after. Super powerful. Definitely takes practice. Jab, jab, delay, forward plus light kick, heavy punch. You have to stretch the input over a large window to buffer the jab so that you don't get two during the drive rush, but also still do the input fast enough so that it actually occurs after the jab recovers. Tight execution. The timing varies based on what move you're doing as well. So like the timing from a heavy punch will be different than a timing from a crushing medium kick as well. So it's definitely a technique to practice, but if you can master this timing, this rhythm, any single button that they block in the drive rush cancel on block is a mix-up, because if they try to jab after, first of all, this is plus. So let's turn the jab back on block. If you delay your follow-up from the jab, it's a frame trap. So even if you don't want to go for the Demon, you could potentially set up a high-low, a jump or meaty mix, basically a command grab mix-up, because say they want to jump away from the Demon on block, right? They're thinking, oh crap, he's going to go for the Demon setup. Instead of going into the Demon after the crouching jab, you can now go into crouching light kick. And you know what that leads into? It leads to Demon. So the combo version of Demon does less damage. So if they try to jump away from the Demon and you guess correctly and go like crouching light kick jab into the light hasher kicking to Demon, you still get really good damage on them. So no matter which way you slice it, this is an immediate mix up either into the Demon itself, and if they don't jump away, they get hit. And if they jump away, you can stagger your low here and get the combo regardless. So amazing mix up. It's a pure 50-50 out of nowhere for the opponent. Take some practice on the execution, but I love this setup. I think it's super powerful. The next Demon setup is a classic, and it's beautiful in its simplicity. It's simply dash into Demon. So during the dash, you have enough time to actually buffer your entire Demon input. If you dash close enough into the range of the opponent, it will grab them and you secure your 4,700 damage right there. However, this becomes extra powerful when you pair it with some of Akuma's common Oki setups. One of Akuma's most common knockdowns, especially mid-screen, is to convert into light Tatsu into sweep, because if you hold up forward, you get a guaranteed safe jump that beats reversals for pressure, or if you decide to stay on the ground, you can instead double dash into the grill, and you see there after you double dash, you're +4, which means you get a throw or some kind of meaty mix-up for pressure. Do you see where I'm going with this one right here? This is a true setup. From your most common mid-screen Oki option, you can do double dash into Demon as one of the mix-up options, and that will grab them if they don't immediately jump on wake up. And of course, this also beats wake up buttons. So you see here, the dummy is going to be doing wake up buttons. So just to demonstrate here, have them do wake up jab. Counter hit right there on that. They can't wake up buttons. If they try to wake up buttons on this, they will get grabbed. Extremely, extremely powerful options. And of course, just like with all these other plus frame situations with the Demon, you can potentially go low instead. So that will beat wake up buttons as well. And if they try to, of course, try to wake up with a jump to escape a potential Demon, it'll grab them as well. So no matter which way you slice it, this gives you pretty much a guaranteed mix up right away on their wake up. They'll have to like reversal to avoid the mix. And it gives you multiple ways to get into the Demon. So if they jump, they might get hit low and you combo into Demon. If they don't jump and they decide to block it out or decide to wake up buttons, your double dash Demon will beat that as well. So very powerful, simple option to incorporate into your gameplay from Akuma's most common Oki knockdown situation. The next Demon setup here, you might call it out as not really a Demon setup. It might be a technicality, depends on how you define it, but it's simply using stand heavy punch, confirm into Demon. So Demon in this version, you can combo into it. It does become scaled if you do too many hits beforehand, but just doing stand heavy punch into Demon doesn't scale the combo. That's a huge amount of damage right there. And standing heavy punch is an extremely confirmable button. You have so many frames to actually cancel into it. If you practice this confirm, as every single time you press stand fierce, just buffer 2 jabs behind it. And if it hits, then you tap forward like you can heavy punch to confirm. So you can just sit around buffering like this. Heavy punch, jab, jab, heavy punch, jab, jab. If it happens to connect, then tap forward like a heavy punch, and then you will get the Demon to combo into it. Great way to confirm last minute to a lot of damage. And imagine this specific scenario here. So imagine this situation, you're burned out, but you have full super meter and you have to be wary of the opponent while you're in burnout. Remember that you have to be careful of the opponent going for a DI, because if you press too many buttons, you can just get crumpled and lose. But remember the buffer I also just explained to you. Stand fierce, buffer into Demon. You can hit confirm this very easily. It's a great option to defend against random DIs in mid-screen. So it's really easy to do. Now, generally what I do is I love the stand fierce for this kind of purpose because it's so hit confirmable. I usually do this with level 3. Like I'll just keep pressing the stand fierce and buffer level 3 behind it without pressing the actual button. I do the motion without activating the kick. So it'll look something like that to punish people for going for DI neutral. But you can do the same thing with Demon. And I think it just packs a bit more punch if you land the Demon that way. So definitely a clutch way to secure a win, and very impressive way to do so. So have this in your back pocket and you'll catch your opponent off guard for sure. And the next Demon setup here is kind of silly, but it can be really effective. That simple. Make them block stand heavy kick or punish them for pairing stand heavy kick, and then do Demon right after. So like we mentioned before, Demon is effective when you're +3 on block. So like the drive rush jab example, doing drive rush cancel into jab leaves you +3 in range to Demon. If you have the dummy here do crouching light punch on block after this stand heavy kick, of course, you know, they're plus there, so ideally they wouldn't be pressing there, they'd respect your plus frames. But you can also just reversal Demon right there and it'll beat the jab. And of course, because it moves you into them, if I tell the dummy to jump right now after the flash, you see there that it's actually in range to land the Demon. So very kind of cheesy setup here. If they're abusing parry, which forces them to stand, you can go ahead and move in with the heavy kick, and then it's a mix up right after between the low jab confirm or the Demon right after. So remember that heavy kick, of course, super strong button, but it does whiff on crouchers. So, you know, if you spam this in neutral, that second hit will whiff and they'll punish you for it. But definitely a kind of a funny setup. Just get in and then do Demon right there on the same heavy kick. They can definitely catch people off guard. You know I had to save the most stylish Demon for last, and here it is. Fireball Clash Demon. The punish counter on the screen confirmed that that was indeed a punish. So this is the coolest way to land a Demon for sure. Super powerful in fireball battles and requires a specific input. So from my understanding, you can only do it from light punch fireball, and interestingly enough, you can also do it from OD fireball. So it's pretty interesting that combos. It does become scaled if you do the OD fireball into it, because the first hit of the fireball actually connects and then it combos into the Demon combo version. If you do it too late, you know, the second hit will actually cause a knockdown and it won't combo. So light fireball and OD fireball actually allow this to work. It's basically because you can only cancel special moves during like the first part of their frames. You can't cancel moves too late. The cancel will not occur. So I'm doing light fireball, and I'm doing the first input of the Demon is the end of the fireball, the first jab, and then I'm doing another jab, then forward like a heavy punch. If I do that input, quarter circle forward, jab, jab, forward like a heavy punch. If I do it from too far, of course, the Demon doesn't cancel. I'm already recovered by the time the fireball makes contact with them. And you can only cancel specials if they make contact with the opponent. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So if I do it from even closer, it still doesn't occur. However, if I get point blank and I do fireball, it will then cancel into Demon, right? Which makes sense. You know, doing fireball into super is a staple, right? So it makes sense that up close, you can actually cancel this into super. However, fireballs can also cancel not just when they hit the opponent, they can cancel whenever they clash with another fireball as well. The fireball just has to hit something and it'll allow you to cancel the super, and it has to hit it early enough for the cancel to occur during the cancelable window of the special move. So even from there, it's not going to occur, right? It's too far away. It's not happening early enough. So if you're at the right range and the right interaction occurs, they'll naturally just occur. So what you do is you just essentially buffer demon behind every light fireball you're doing when you're in range. And if it clashes, the demon will come out. If it doesn't clash, the demon doesn't occur, right? So I'm doing the demon input every single time here. And it's only when the fireball clashes at the right distance and right timing does the demon actually occur. So if you have the right spacing, you can just buffer demon behind this every time. And if they throw a fireball at that range and it clashes, you get the demon to come out and you punish the recovery of their fireball. It is super, super nasty. So here's a specific example of a fireball trap to set this up. So I'm gonna have the dummy do heavy fireball after blocking Akuma's heavy fireball here, and then I'm gonna do the demon trap right here. So the first heavy fireball baits them to throw their own fireball, and I simply do the next fireball buffered into demon. And if they throw the fireball, the demon will actually come out there and punish them. But once again, if they don't throw the fireball, it's actually not going to occur. So you just see a regular fireball in case they don't throw a fireball here. But if they get baited at this spacing, demon them right then, right there. So there you have it. Those are some ways you can land demon and incorporate it into your own gameplay. The main point of this video though is to inspire you to understand how to utilize the move and come up with your own creative ways to land demon. Even though it's one of the weaker versions of Raging Demon, a weak Raging Demon is still incredibly powerful. Have fun and let me know what you think about the video in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.